Yo, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another On This Day in Baseball History. It is August 9th, and I've got some stories to share with you once again. I love doing this series. I'm going to try to do it every day, so I hope you guys enjoy it. And like I said yesterday, if you have something else that happened on this day in history from your own team, or just something I may have missed, leave it down in the comments, and I'd love to talk baseball with you. So let's jump into it. First of all, two stories from yesterday that I did cover. The Philadelphia A's won their first game in 19 or 20 tries. They lost 19 in a row. Joe Bush beat the Tigers 7-1, as I mentioned in yesterday's video. They won 3 of their past 43 starts. And yeah, that was a bad team. But I talked about that yesterday, but they did get their first win over that stretch. On 1916, on this day in 1916. And another story from yesterday, the Cubs finally played their first night game. I mentioned it yesterday that they got rained out. A thunderstorm came through, but in 1988, the Cubs played their first night game at Wrigley Field against the Mets. They ended up winning that game 6-4, I should say. It took 5,687 games to finally play a night game at Wrigley Field, and I guess it's a cool thing that they ended up winning that day. Oddly enough, 5,687 days seems to be the last time that the Cubs won a World Series prior to 2016. It's pretty close to that. I don't think it's exactly that number, but pretty close. Kind of an interesting little situation over there in Chicago. Let's jump into the news stories of the day, though. This one is super cool. Everyone knows who he is. Cal Ripken, the Iron Man. He recorded his 2,500th career hit today with a single off a White Sox reliever, a right-hander, Bill Simas. And the Orioles ended up losing that game 4-3 to Chicago in 10 innings. But, yeah, of course, Cal Ripken, one of the greatest players to ever play the game. And if you're actually looking at playing in the game, he played a lot of it, including like 2,800, something like that, straight games in a row. As you know, he's the Iron Man for a reason. Started so many games in a row. And if you want to compare that to what today's game is like, Whit Merrifield's streak was just broken earlier this season after he played like 500 and something games in a row. So he was like 1/5 of the way there after he started like 5 years in a row, and he was only 1/5 of the way to Cal Ripken's record. So really cool that today in history, on August 9th, Cal Ripken hit his 2,500th career hit. Not a lot of guys get to that marker, but he ended up going way past it, ended up with 3,184 hits. Let's jump ahead a couple of years now to 1999. Two fun facts happened on this day in history. First, we'll start with the more exciting one. A total of 5 grand slams were hit for the first time in Major League history on this day. Some big names as well. You've got Cardinals' Fernando Tatis, that's senior, Jose Vidro, Mike Lowell, Bernie Williams, and Jay Buhner, all some pretty big names as well. They all hit a grand slam on this day in history. And fun fact, 3 of them played for the Columbus Clippers, I guess, if you're into minor league baseball there. So that's pretty cool that, one, most of those players, a majority of those players have a connection to the same minor league team, but also that for the first time in history, people like home runs, people like grand slams. 5 of them happened in one day. I don't know if that's happened again. Off of the top of my head, I think I can remember at least 3 or 4 recently that happened in one day, but not 5, I don't believe. So I'm not sure if that's ever happened again in the 22 years since. But what also happened on this day was the Blue Jays. They won against the Rangers 19-4 with 25 hits. That was a franchise record, by the way, for the Blue Jays. They had 6 doubles and 4 home runs in that game, but no grand slams. So even though there was 5 grand slams in one day, and another game where a team completely blew another team out with 4 home runs, none of them were the grand slam, and that could have been 6, which, maybe is even cooler. So lots of hits going on this day in 1999. The last two stories that I have for you here, again, some pretty big names. We'll start with the first one. In 2002, at the age of 26, Vladimir Guerreros Sr. hit his 200th career home run, and that is, well, a lot. I couldn't hit a home run, but two, a lot of dads playing around this time. Is that weird? Like, yeah, they're all big names, but they're also dads, like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You've got Ken Griffey Jr., who I'm going to mention in a second. You had Fernando Tatis. That's kind of weird that all these dads played around at the same time, and now their sons play. But at this time, Guerrero tied Ken Griffey Jr. as the second youngest player to reach 200 home runs. Alex Rodriguez hit 200 home runs in 25 years and 290 days. It took Vladimir Guerrero just about 100 and some days, 200 days after that. But he hit his 200th career home run today, so why not try to one-up him? How about Barry Bonds? On this day in baseball history, joined Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, and Hank Aaron as the only players to hit 600 career home runs. The 38-year-old Giant left fielder hit the milestone in the sixth inning by lining a 2-1 pitch thrown by Pirates starter Kip Wells over the center field wall at, well, as it was called back then, Pacific Bell Park, but in San Francisco. So if you thought Vladimir Guerrero was cool, Barry Bonds one-ups him, hits his 600th career home run. Obviously, he went on to hit 756 of them. A lot of home runs, but super cool that on this day in history, as the Giants were pushing for a World Series, that they, oddly enough, Vladimir Guerrero, was he on the Expos at this time? I guess that would make more sense, I think, in the context of this. But it was the Angels versus the Giants in that World Series that year, so that's really kind of cool. Even though the Giants ended up losing, and Barry Bonds did not get that ring that year. So really cool though that a lot of big names did some big things on this day in baseball history, and I'd love to know if I missed something. If you want to talk about it down in the comments, it's super cool. But like I said, I hope you just got some cool stuff, facts, stories that you can share with your friend, your family, your mom, I don't know, as you go on with your day. So thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. We'll see you tomorrow for more. Peace out.